All right, we are now recording. Hey there, sports fans. Welcome to WHMP Sportz. I'm here with Julia Beckley, our correspondent from the Dinosaur Valley race, and her waffles. So we've also got some of the crew and participants hanging out in the background there. So we're going to check in and see how Dinosaur Valley's going.
Oh my God, the coolest. How many hours are we at like now? 36 hours since we met?
Yeah. No, yeah.
So Nicole is in the background, but Nicole was my ride and place to stay. I crashed. Nicole and Michelle had a hotel room with a pull-out bed, so I stayed with them, and we met 36 hours ago, I think.
Yeah.
And we now know everything.
Nice.
And then Angie and Kyla. So Kyla and Stephanie were together doing the 100 to start. Kyla and Stephanie separated in the middle of the night. Stephanie is still working towards 100K right now, actually towards a 68-mile finish. And then Kyla should be finishing the 100 now. Susan should be finishing the 100 now or done. Pretty much everyone is finishing within the next hour. Stephanie, I would project, is going to finish closer to the next like 4 or 5 hours.
All right. And when's cutoff for this?
Cutoff is a 34-hour cutoff, which I believe makes it 4 p.m. is the official cutoff.
Okay.
The big
That's
cutoff
how many hours from now? Because this video is going to be posted.
Oh, that's true.
After. So.
What time is it right now?
8 hours.
8 hours from now is the like big cutoff.
Okay.
The other big cutoff is a little less than 6 hours from now is the like you have to be on your last loop.
Yep.
So,
all right, cool. So,
and one of the unique things that Libby, the race director, did for this specific race this year was that you could drop down to any distance at any point. So that meant you almost always were finishing with something.
Nice. That's cool. So it looked cold.
Oh, it's cold. My wheelchair is frozen sitting outside the tent right now at the park.
28 degrees.
Yeah, it's great. I didn't break out the wheelchair until the middle of the night, but yeah, it's frozen. And it was 28 degrees overnight, which felt great if you were doing karaoke.
Yeah.
Which we had. So that was cool.
Nice.
Libby, okay, huge props to Libby, the race director, who is a phenomenal race director, female race director, and race director with many other like intersectional identities that I feel like she can share in her own ways and whatnot. But I just think it's really important to emphasize like how special it is to have a female race director.
Yeah.
And one who does and goes way beyond for anything. Like one of the things that Libby is very conscientious of, for example, is releasing of names of who is running, and for safety reasons being careful about that. That's just one small detail of like thousands. But Libby has every year there's like a 2-hour time frame where they do karaoke, and I went up and I was like, well, of course I'll do karaoke. First of all, you're opening with my favorite karaoke song, which is I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys.
That's good.
So I was already hooked. And then her name is Kelly Corn. What's Kelly's last name? Cornwall.
I don't know.
Okay, so Kelly has won this race before, and Kelly is like pretty well known. Kelly's big claim to fame is that she beat Courtney Dauwalter in the 2019 Western States, which is the one that Courtney didn't finish. We don't need to discuss how, but anyways, I have a photo with someone who has beaten Courtney Dauwalter, and Kelly put Libby's name on the list for karaoke jokingly with Taylor Swift. And I was like, let's do this, Libby. I'm so pumped for you. And Libby was like, hell no. And I was like, but what if I have an Excel file? I do actually, of top performing karaoke songs, like what goes over at the bars well and whatnot. And I was like, look, Don't Stop Believing, always a crowd winner.
Yeah.
Oh, it was gorgeous. So I have a video of that. I'll make sure to share. Libby and I did that. And then and this ongoing thing with this crew next to us, they're the Dirtbag Road Runners, and it's actually all BIPOC women, female runners came out to do 100 milers from their group. And their crew and I were going back and forth. I was like, come on, you're wearing a onesie. This is my thing. I love onesies. I need you to go do karaoke to make this special for me. And then we negotiated that I would wear one of their onesies and they would be backup dancers. And then Nicole held the Women's 100-Mile Project sign, and we sang a very F-word friendly song, I'm on a Boat. And I was in my wheelchair at that point, so it was great.
So keep an eye out for these videos coming up.
We're going viral is all I have to say. We're going viral. There's no doubt in my head. Women's 100-Mile Project is going to be on the map because I released a song where we have to bleep out the cuss words.
Nice. So it seems like a looped course. Looped courses seem very karaoke friendly because I think I've seen this happen before.
And turns out as crew keeps you warm. That was the biggest, smartest move, and it hypes up your energy so you're ready to crew.
Yeah,
as a little probably too hyped up points, but
yeah. So I mean, crewing for a looped course, basically you're hanging out in the same place the whole time, right? So
yes, and
it becomes
especially on this specific loop course, you don't have access to any other points to your runners, so you can only see your runners whenever they come through the final stop. You can track them, which was cool. Yeah, and something that isn't always necessarily true of a loop course, that you can track them. But it's a 10-mile loop, so that means that it could be anywhere from, like, we had an adoptee that we called an adopted athlete that we crewed, Nathan, who ended up taking 3rd overall.
Nice. Good job, Nathan.
Cool story. Like, also he was like leading in first, and it was not the crewing, but it was really cool to connect with him, and he has great advice too. But anyways, his like 10-mile loops were anywhere from an hour and a half to like 2 hours, versus like someone else's 10-mile loops could be a 5-hour thing. And so it was a lot of doing math, which I love doing the math, and I think that was where I brought my A game to the team. So.
Anyone who's maybe watched some of my videos before knows that I also love the math, and as Tina and Deirdre know, I also love pacing math. So the crewing math for when are they going to finish this loop, it's the same math as pacing math, and that's super fun. So so in this crew spot where you guys are camping out, is this like in a park somewhere, or is there a building?
So it's kind of in the middle of, like, it's like if you went to a concert, it's like the parking lot of a concert, all X'd off, and you have all these tents. And because it's 28 degrees in the middle of the night, you have all these tents who are running separate different heaters in them, or different mechanisms how they're maintaining heat. Yeah. And then you have the cars that are like, a lot of people are going back to their cars to turn them on and run heat and all these different things. And so you get to know. And so, like, there was a point in the middle of the night. Oh, sorry. Are we still?
Yeah, we're still on.
Okay, cool.
I'm still recording.
So there was a point in the middle of the night where we were like just shouting as we walked through the tents, we need a pacer. Is there a pacer available? And all of a sudden someone would show up. And I, at one point, paced, which I should not necessarily always do, but I paced solid 2 miles. I did a mile and a half. I did a mile-ish out and a mile, sorry, I found pacer problems. A mile-ish back, whatever.
Yeah.
So, yes, there we go.
So that's a fun way to like just show up at a race and get to participate for free, is you just hang out towards the and just amazing. Wait for somebody to shout, we need a pacer. Right?
Yes, and that is like always a need. And you have people who are like the last girl I sent out with a random pacer, his name, he goes by Stude and whatnot, and like legit is famous in some capacity, but very quietly famous because his friends called him out and they're like, he's actually really well known. And he did Western States this year. I don't know if he was one Leadman, but he has something tied there. But you have people like in the ultra community, the coolest part is like it's so big that you have people who have won random little races or big races or whatever that are showing up, and they're just supporting other runners.
Yeah. So like, he just went out there to pace someone else. Was it
and he just was like there to pace.
Yep. Was it one of our gals that he paced?
Nope.
Okay.
It was just a random gal who needed some help. I think there's some photos that Jenny snug for us of us helping her out last minute. So you kind of like adopt everyone.
Yeah.
or at least that is my strategy when I
Yeah.
show up as a correspondent, that I'm like, oh, you need help? Or like, oh, I know what you need. Here, let me go help you.
Yeah,
And I
this is Lee's MO at an aid station as
also,
well. You'll
people
see her
knew
running
who
all
Lee
over.
was. We would be like, Women's 100 Mile Project. I'm like, oh yeah, I ran with Lee at Outlaw. And we're like, call us later.
Yes. Yeah, Lee's out there. Like, just a pro tip from Lee, when you are out there crewing people, wear your race vest, because you can stick stuff in it, and when people need it, you have it in your race vest. And I
That's a
thought
good
that
pro
was
tip.
brilliant. It's such a good pro tip. And
Also, if you
realized it.
emergently end up pacing like Lee does.
Like Lee did, yeah, Lee did that at Rim to River. Just had her stuff on her, and when Sarah was coming in, she was like, well, I've got a pacer bib. Should I pace her? And we're like, yeah, pace her. I mean, because it was just Sarah and Tina coming in at that point, and I had dibs on Tina, so she paced Sarah as well. So yeah, if you got your race vest on you, you can have all like, you're like,
Nicole,
oh,
do you want to come say hi real quick? You want to come say hi, Nicole? Get Nicole on the podcast real quick. This is Nicole. Nicole's one of the big crew people. Nicole crushed mentoring Michelle, who was the one that just finished and whatnot. Nice. And so, yeah.
I live down here in Katy, Texas by Houston. I've lived down here 8 years. I always offer myself to anybody who's coming into the area to race.
That's awesome.
I handle all their logistics. If you want to run Brazos Bend, which has all the distances in December and April, please contact me, because this way you don't have to do anything. You can run in a new state, in a new city.
Nicole, what's your last name so people know who to contact for Brazos Bend?
Nicole Berglund, Berglund.
All right, guys, reach out to Nicole Berglund if you're running Brazos Bend.
You're going to get a buckle if you reach out to Nicole. Is all I have to say.
Awesome.
And then we also have Rocky Raccoon with 2 weekends of all the distances in February. And that is, so those are the 2 big multi-distance up to 100 races. And then you have Bandera out west, outside of my bubble. But yeah, Texas has been really good to me since I've been here. And this has been the best weekend ever.
That's awesome. Yeah, I keep coming across the Rocky Raccoon race, because some of the folks up here are running Rabid Raccoon, and for some reason, whenever I Google it, I can't remember that it's called Rabid Raccoon, and I Google Rocky Raccoon.
Gotcha.
Like, oh, there's Rocky Raccoon. Wait, that's a different race. So yeah, maybe one year, like, the goal will be run all the raccoon themed 50Ks.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
that's a fun idea. Sweet.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks. Hey, let's take a look at the tracker and see how our gals are doing.
Yes, I am currently in the hotel on the only break I've had in, I don't know how many hours, whatever.
So here we go. We got Karen, Margaret, Michelle, Lindsay, Stephanie, and Susan running the 100-miler. We also have Sarah running.
And the tracker is like behind by anywhere from like 20 to 30 minutes, because there's certain spots that have Wi-Fi and there's certain spots that don't.
I'm gonna go ahead and refresh. Oh no, it lost all my favorites.
So go back to, I think, your 100M, and you can search them all and add them again.
No, there they are.
Oh, sweet.
Okay. All right. There they are. Okay. We've got
Karen should be done.
Let's look at Karen's page. This is Karen's page. So she's not listed as done here yet, but you're saying that we think Karen's
could
done?
be off, yeah. But I mean, it should show once she's finished. It should show she's finished. But again, it could be off. It's so like hard to know.
Well, let's take a look at Karen's pace. So Karen,
she was going out really strong in the beginning with, I want to say, around 12-minute miles on that first loop.
Yeah.
If it was like that first 10 miles, I think was around 12-minute miles.
Okay, cool. So and by the fact that she was still doing 17 miles at mile 81, she's someone who's capable of running much faster than a 12-minute mile, but she held back a bit, which is good.
Yes.
So that helped her save some juice. And so we're hearing from Julia that Karen's likely done. Looks like she kept a pretty steady pace.
She did. And I think
probably
overall,
overnight hours that she got a little slower, which is normal.
Oh, big time. And it's like the hardest hours we always say are like from 1 to 5 a.m. It's the coldest hours. It's the hours where like all the funky stuff comes out. You don't know where you are sometimes, all the funky stuff.
Yeah, and you can
And
see that hits
everyone
probably
slows
right around
down.
here. Yep.
And also you have to remember this course has a ton of loose rock on it. So if you're navigating that course that late, it is so critical that you are like paying attention to your feet.
All right.
So.
Yeah. Looks so, and it looks like even with the loose rock in the dark,
she crushed it.
She was speeding along.
She was, I think, a top 3 or should be a top 3 finisher ultimately, if not top 2.
Awesome. And she had bib number 1. So
yeah.
So way to go, Karen. All right. Our next one that we have is Margaret.
Yep.
Oh,
and
Margaret also
saw
looked like she had a pretty
right before it was her last loop, I think, that I saw her going out for. Maybe not, because it would have been her last loop. I probably saw her going out for a couple hours ago, so I would guess that she's coming in to finish here soon.
Nice. And Margaret's another look at Margaret starting this thing
and Margaret,
at like a 14, 15 minute
shout
pace,
out to Margaret who wrote
pacing.
individual, sorry, I'm talking over you. Margaret wrote individual cards to every single runner and crew person and gave us all mini dinosaurs.
Oh,
it was the coolest thing ever.
So way to make the rest of us look bad with your generosity and pace, Margaret.
That was Susan. Sorry, Susan.
Oh, Susan
did the dinosaurs. Okay. Margaret is another amazing, super sweet runner though as well.
So, and Margaret's killing the game on pacing. Let's see, because she's starting out there going at like.
And she looked steady so
14,
strong.
15 minute pace that she was just keeping up and then still overnight running like 18s. So that's great. Yeah. So our next one, Michelle. And Michelle, you said finished?
Yep. So she dropped down to the, she finished at 68 miles. So that should be on her tracker.
This is a finish time here for her then. All right. So she did.
She probably has one more timing mat that isn't loaded because she did a full 68 miles.
Okay. Yeah. Unless no, it looks like this is the 68 mile right here.
Sweet.
Looks
Perfect.
like she did 68 miles in 24:29. Yep. So congratulations on your 100K and then some. And also you can see like, again, starting out and maintaining a pace.
Yep.
And we have Lindsay Hellberg as well. Lindsay's she's I think a top contributor on the 100-miler page, participates a lot. So Lindsay is out there and according to the tracker at mile 81, but probably further along based on that timing. Yeah. She actually, of all the ones we've looked at, might be the best so far on maintaining pace. Look it out that she's like starting at 15-minute miles and now running 18. Yeah. So she's only added 3 minutes to her pace from mile 1 to mile 81. So
which is incredible.
Incredible. These are overnights too. So Lindsay, I think we probably gave the award for best at pacing. Really like holding back and saving.
That statistic is impressive.
Because look at this, like these are some great overnight miles. Way to go, Lindsay. And so, based on where we're seeing other people on the chart, is the tracker behind enough that Lindsay ought to be finishing soon too?
Probably, but it's so hard to know which parts are like slower than others.
So this race started at, what time did it start?
7 a.m. yesterday, which
7 a.m. So this would have been 7 a.m.
5 hours. So I would say all these women will finish by in the next 4 hours. We'll see everyone finishing.
Okay. All right. And then we have Stephanie Lane. Also, she's made it out to mile, looks like mile 47. So what's the cutoff on this race?
The cutoff is 2 p.m. You have to be on your last loop, and 4 p.m. is the actual cutoff. Okay. Stephanie dropped down to her goal distance being 68 miles instead of the full 100 miles. Stephanie, I had some rough going into the night in terms of stability on her feet and being able to perceive around her. And so ultimately it became a safety thing for her.
Yep.
And the other person we're missing is Kyla, is Kyla the last one?
Do I have Kyla in here?
So Kyla is the only Kyla, but Kyla is a part of our group as well. And Kyla, was really doing the 100 to also help with Stephanie as well. So they were kind of buddy up until a certain point until they had to split off from each other.
Okay.
And she should be done by now or close to being done in the next hour.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like Stephanie, Kyla also did a great job on pacing. And if you look at Stephanie's, I wouldn't rely on the tracker here when it reads this pace, because it looks like they missed her at a couple check-ins.
Yeah, and
so
it's
that
also
calculation
because
may be
she
off.
stopped overnight for a
Okay.
total of 6 hours. So
Okay.
she stopped overnight as well.
All right. Well, I hope that Stephanie's feeling all right. If she had some issues there, but yeah, I wouldn't trust the tracker here on this, because it looks like they missed a couple stops for her. And then we have Susan as well. Susan also looks like looks like everybody
Amazing.
did a good job with pacing. So Susan's already over 100K as well.
And she was going into her final laps as well. So
okay.
I don't know. It's hard to see on the small screen everything, but I think Susan would be done in the next couple of hours as well.
Okay. So she's shooting for 100 miles too.
Yep. And I think she was really close to being done with her laps, because I had seen Susan as well.
Okay, great. Awesome. So we have a whole collection, and we have 7 folks that we're following there. And
then we had Sarah, who did the 50K, and she crushed that.
Look at this time on the 50K. This is
and she fell too on her 50K and just crushed, recovering from her 50K time.
This is also another award for pacing yourself too, because she started at 10:50s with a pace of 10:57, and her finishing pace was 11:56, so less than a minute difference with her pace over the 50K. So that's awesome. Very cool, Sarah.
Great. Well, yeah, thank you so much for hopping on and going through all this.
Yeah, this is great, and congratulations, and thank you so much for being there to cover us live. If you guys haven't been following, go back and look at all of Julia's posts. She's got a lot of great content from Dinosaur Valley, and looking forward to everybody being able to finish up and go take a nap somewhere warm. Because were they expecting it to be this cold? Is it always this cold this time of year?
No, this is unseasonably cold for this race. I mean, it's not as cold as Outlaw can get, but it was cold.
Yeah, it's looked like everybody was bundled
There was
up.
a girl who came in this morning and all of her snacks had frozen in her vest, and that was the one that we sent out with the pacer last minute. So
so frozen snacks. I know that Carmel and Lee have some content on that as well. It's definitely something to keep in mind when you're running these cold races. There are tricks for keeping your bladders, your water bladders, from freezing.
And the more organized you are, the easier it makes you to crew. And also, you can't guarantee that, even on a loop course like this, we as crew had to figure out how to crew too. But it's way better if you can get yourself through a couple stations just in case too, or whatnot. Okay, great if you have a crew that shows up, but also it could go sideways. So I'm all about Lee and Carmel's prep, and I think everyone really is here. So. Yeah,
and it does. You're right. It totally makes people easy to crew, and it makes it easy to crew yourself. Another thing we saw at Rim to River, I think Alma was just blowing through those 8 stations because she had great organization and didn't even need any help at the 8 stations. She'd come in and be like, "What do you need?" And she's like, "I got it." So being organized, big.
And when we crewed we crewed for the top male, right? At one point he was the top male, Nathan, and he was just so well organized that even though we were doing little things like filling water bottles for him and grabbing XYZ items or changing batteries, it made it so easy for us to quickly pick on what we were going to prep for him. And just so seeing someone of that caliber and how they prepped for no crew, but how a crew also made it so that he would not have been under 21 hours had he not had us crewing him. So
awesome. So, and the organizational strategies might be a bit different for a looped course than they are for a course where you're putting your drop bags at different locations.
Yep.
So it's just something to keep in mind there. But and with the being cold, just I guess you want to
That's
keep your
tough.
snacks close to your body to keep them thawed, and
Yeah.
maybe put some electrolytes in your water to keep it from freezing. Make sure to blow out your straws. Take a sip and blow into it so you don't get something freezing in your straws. That's all stuff.
These are all
by
things that,
the time
like,
you get to 100 miles, most people I think have picked up on that stuff. But
and like, I think it's really cool if you have the opportunity to go show up at a local race or non-local. Like, I'm very lucky to get to be out here and everything. Like, you're gonna learn so much and take so much away from it. The reason Angie and Cindy are so phenomenal at crewing is because, one, they've been the runners, but they also do this all the time.
yeah,
And they can read a runner on what a runner needs right away, which is what Carmel can do. That's just what Lee can do, and I'm sure, Amy, you've acquired those skills.
I'm starting to pick up on some stuff. Starting to.
So, well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and have fun out there. And everybody, make sure to check out the rest of the Dinosaur Valley content and keep an eye on our gals who should be finishing up pretty soon.
Sounds good.
I'll try and get this uploaded soon so it's timely. Thanks, guys.